What is up, everyone watching on the True Heel Heat Sports YouTube and Facebook? We are live for True Heel Heat Sports number 13, a preview of the NFC East. You know who I am. I'm the ace in the face of True Heel Heat. We do sports videos here throughout the week. We got our watch-alongs on the weekends. I am a Jets fan. I am True Heel Romeo, and I am joined by a lot of my good brothers. We got a star-studded cast right here. First, let me go to the fantasy and betting analyst for Fantasy Alarm, PicksWise. He's a contributor on MSG Network here in New York. He's a host on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. He is a Dallas Cowboys fan. Adam Ronis. Adam, how you doing?
What's up, man? Glad to be joining you guys tonight. Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan, but it has not been a fun time for a while. Always have a competitive team, but it's been a while since they won the Super Bowl. So I know as a Jets fan, you don't want to hear that, but it's been a struggle for Dallas. A lot of talent, and they just can't finish the job.
We're going to talk about it. Also joining us, he is a contributor on the Pro Wrestling Torch, one of the most entertaining Twitter follows you could possibly have over at Seahawk. He is a Washington Commanders fan. What is up, Cameron?
Is that who we are this week? That's the name now? Okay. All right. Yeah, man. Washington football fan for as long as I can remember, 30 plus years. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about maybe some good stuff about the team. Maybe. I'll try.
Also joining us, he's the co-host of Live Rounds every Tuesday night, talking pro wrestling and MMA on his YouTube channel, RVD Tito for Life. He is a Dallas Cowboys fan as well. Say hello to Doug. What's up, Doug?
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. I'm not one of those who thinks we're going to win the Super Bowl every year and all that jazz, though. I am a realist, and I'm not one of those that don't really know that much about my team. I know the practice squad. I know what's going on. I know Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, the whole nine. I'm not just one of those, I don't know how you say, bandwagon type fans. I go through the misery just like everybody else. So happy to talk about a team, but I also pay attention to y'all's team too, because you got to know your enemies as well.
He is the True Heel residential alcoholic, 1/3 of the Saturday morning podcast, True Heel Heat. He is a Tennessee Titans fan, top guy JJ. What is up, brother?
What's going on, guys? It's good to. I just can't wait to get into what all these gentlemen. I just want to see what this NFC mess is going to be. How this is going to be developed. But one thing I will say though, I don't really know any short-term NFC East fans. Pretty much anybody that is an NFC East fan, they've been a fan of their teams for at least a decade. At least. There's no reason to be a fan of a team in that division if you haven't been a fan of that division for a long time.
That's very true.
He is the man of 1,001 numbers. He is a Denver Broncos fan. John StatKing. What is up, brother?
Not too much, guys. Welcome to all of our guests, and I'm glad to, just like JJ said, this is gonna be a fun conversation with so many different perspectives. I mean, I'm just glad, one, that we were able to find a Washington Commanders fan, and two, that we found the only two Dallas Cowboys fans that don't think their team is going to win the Super Bowl every single year.
He is the true draw.
AFC up here.
Yeah, it's AFC's up here.
AFC up here. We are so out of line.
You can catch his art on Facebook. You can catch his art at your local NYC fan conventions. He is the true draw. He is a New York Giants fan. Josh, what is up, Josh?
Man, you guys talking about miserable times? Oh boy.
And
at least I got 2 Super Bowls to talk about.
Yeah, but that was like that was like
20 years.
But that was like 20 years ago, like football years.
He's thinking the boat picture, and since it's been that misery for the Giants.
Yo, Cowboy fans ain't hearing that shit, bro.
No.
Finally, we got our Philadelphia Eagles fan. I don't know if he ate horse poop when they won their Super Bowl. Nicholas, what is up, Nicholas?
I am doing very well. A friend of the True Hill family, lifelong Eagles fan since the good old Donovan McNabb days. I'm very excited for this season and excited to be here.
Oh, Josh, I forgot to mention that I love that meme you made. Let me share that right here. Let me take this down.
Oh wow!
Damn. Good shit, Josh.
I'm Shrek. Nice.
Don't worry. I'll put myself as donkey. Don't feel too bad.
Shout out to everyone in the chat watching us. Please like this video. What is up, ALW? He's not letting it be shy. He's a Cowboys fan. He's got it in his profile picture. You, my boy, Blue. There's two different kinds of people. There's the Cowboys fan and there's the fucking Cowboys fan.
Yeah, there's no in between.
Nobody's
up,
indifferent
Armand?
at all.
Nick Jackson. Frantic World. We appreciate everyone in the chat. Vote in the poll. Who wins the NFC East? Keep voting. And if you're new here, subscribe. It's the only way to comment. Subscribe to chat. We appreciate everyone. Thumbs up this video. Share this video if you see it on social media. And let me just read these results real quick because this has been up for about 30 minutes. So far, 11 votes. Keep voting, everyone. 45% are saying the Eagles are going to win the NFC East. 27% Cowboys. 18% Giants. 9% Commanders.
Sounds about right.
That's the chat right now. A lot could change during this stream, so we'll see what happens. StatKing, you want to take it away? Where do we start with this division? Where do you want to start, StatKing?
Yeah, so as you guys know, the three hosts will send their win-loss predictions for each division. We compile that together, and then we let our guests talk about where they agree, where they disagree. So, without further ado, I have a feeling this one's going to be interesting.
I feel like this is going to be different from all three of us.
Here are the win-loss predictions from myself, Romeo, and Top Guy. So I have the Cowboys taking the division. There's a lot of similarity here. I mean, everybody's got the Giants at the bottom.
Giant slander.
Damn. Romeo, the Giants fan, who apparently this year is deciding to no longer be a Giants fan, definitely burying them on the way out with a 3-14 record. But you can see that for the most part, the only place we really disagree is who is gonna. The division is a two-horse race in our eyes between Cowboys and Philly. And I feel as though those are really the teams that have the best chance. Washington is in the middle of a kind of rebuild. They did add Carson Wentz, but we don't know really what Carson Wentz we're going to get. If it's Indianapolis Colts Carson Wentz or the guy that was lighting it up until he got injured. But they did add a stud receiver in Dotson. And then there's the Giants, who God only knows really what's going on. If they can keep Saquon healthy, maybe that alleviates some of the pressure from Daniel Jones so he doesn't have to trip on his way to the end zone. So I want to start.
That's that was like so uncalled for.
Well, listen, all he had to do was run in a straight line. So I want to start actually with the Washington Commanders fan, because they are a team to me that is the most intriguing because we just don't really know what we're going to get. Right. You've added some pieces. That defense took kind of a step back, but they could easily be taking that step back forward. And you have somebody now to really pair with Scary Terry. How do you feel about Washington's chances generally? And what do you think is going to be the potential with Wentz throwing to Terry and Dotson?
I think you saying like middle of the pack, but still on the bottom half of the division. I'm like, yeah, that's about where I stand. Like, you got Terry McLaurin, who is just out of this world, right? But he hasn't really had anybody who can get him the ball consistently. Like Heineke's probably been the best at doing that, but he's actually not any good. He's actually like very average. I like having Dotson on the other side. I would have loved to have gotten Olave some type of way, and that's more me being familiar with his work more than anything else. But the way I see it, you got two really good receivers. You got Logan Thomas, who is 45 years old, but he's still kind of young in tight end years, I guess. Who can go out there and catch the ball and won't get concussed like another really good tight end. But you got you you got Gibson in the backfield, and it's fun. Him and my mom went to high school together, which makes his mom an older mom. I'm not gonna call nobody's mom old, but yeah. They went to high school together. Love the kid. Can catch the ball, can run the ball. I like McKissick. So I'm like, okay, we got 5-6 skill players that I really like. But like you said, like Carson Wentz was up there in Indy with a pretty good defense and a really good running back running on turf, and is the reason they didn't win. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that translates to that offense all of a sudden taking off because he gets a change of scenery, right? On top of that, when I look at now, you want me to wait to talk defense? Because I'll wait to talk defense, unless we want to go there too really quick.
Go defense.
Really fast. We got 4 guys on the front line who everybody knows, and then a bunch of guys nobody knows unless they do football podcasts. Right? Like Kendra Full is back there. He's doing stuff sometimes, but the back end of that defense is a bunch of guys. And what's hard about that for me is, like, I like Ron Rivera. I think Ron Rivera is a really good coach. You know, when he was really successful, when he had an all-world quarterback who could overcome things like throwing the ball to Curtis Samuel, and he had Thomas Davis, then he had Luke Kuechly. Like, these guys make up for so much of what doesn't go right. We don't have makeup guys. We got a really good D-line who is sometimes good playing against, like, a really good quarterback, and then another quarterback in Philly who guys still haven't figured out. So, like, when you say, like, they could go 9-8, yeah. They could go 8-9, yeah. They could go 6-11, yeah. Like, there's really no way to gauge it because the only proven guys are guys who can't get themselves the ball. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about the team is Riverboat Ron. Ron is willing to take the chances, and that's something that it's tough to prepare for in its own way, because sometimes he will do things that you just don't expect whatsoever. But one of the stories to me of this division this year is wide receivers meeting up with wide receivers they haven't worked with before and kind of finding those new pairings. And the same way that in Washington we have Scary Terry matching up with Dotson, and we're going to see what that's going to happen. We had a trade on draft night with between the Eagles and the Titans.
You going there already?
Gotta go there. Gotta go there.
And poor old JJ had to lose AJ Brown. He got a consolation prize in Traylon Burks, but Nick, the Eagles are going to be able to pair up AJ Brown with Devonta Smith.
Oh,
and
yeah, I'm excited.
The question on everybody's mind is that is an incredible pairing, but how is their quarterback going to get them the ball? Jalen Hurts has had some serious questions last year, and this is an offense that's kind of struggled a lot when it came to being a balanced offense. Now, granted, they had some running back issues last year, a couple injuries here and there. They had to put old Boston Scott out there and see what he could do. But how do you feel about your kind of bolstered Philly offense when you have defenses that are going to be trying to get old Jalen Hurts out of the pocket?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because last year we were supposed to be in a rebuild, new coach, new quarterback, and everything, but we kind of stumbled ass backwards into the playoffs. And so this is a team that I think the biggest question mark, of course, is, as you said, around Jalen Hurts and whether he can develop and improve to be the long-term solution to quarterback, because we don't really know. He played well enough to keep the starting job, but he didn't play well enough to answer a lot of key questions. And so, yeah, we got a great team around him. It's just a matter of whether he can perform to the way we want him to perform. Now, we had a great draft in free agency to build the team up, and I'm very, very excited about that. It's just a matter of whether our team and our quarterback can build off our identity we built last year with the running game, and whether we can capitalize on the very weak-ass division and, frankly, a weak conference as well. I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess, is the best way to put it about my team.
I've got a question. How confident are you in Jalen Hurts?
Cautiously optimistic. There's a lot to like. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about him. He's like a Lamar Jackson light, and I say that in the best, most optimistic way possible. He can run, he can scramble, he has great athleticism, pretty good poise. But the fact of the matter is, his reads post snap and his ability to throw a deep ball, as well as his speed in reading the defenses, have not really been up to par. And our coach and our offense has had to have a very simple offense to cater to Jalen Hurts, and we can't have that going forward if we want to have a long-term quarterback in Jalen Hurts. So,
also, will Miles Sanders be able to carry the ball this year?
That's a great question. We will see.
What do y'all have against Miles Sanders, man? Like,
right?
What is it like?
It's not anybody. It's Nick Sirianni has a problem with Miles Sanders. He doesn't want to.
The man touches.
So did Doug Peterson, though, right?
He makes shit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
He makes shit happen when he gets the ball in his hands, but then they don't put the ball in his hands.
It's really weird. Whenever there was a backup running back in the game last year and Miles Sanders was playing, it seemed as though they just were like, okay, we're going to run it, even though like. I guess they're trying to go against tendencies, and the idea is if your backup running back is in there, it's a higher percentage you're going to pass. So they're like, "Hey, we'll run it." But man, it didn't really work out that well for him. They should have just been feeding Miles Sanders more.
Well, the good news is I have great confidence in our backup running backs. Even though Jordan Howard left, I mean, I'm serious. Even though Jordan Howard left, Kenneth Gainwell, I think, plays very well to Jalen Hurts' strengths. And I still like Boston Scott. So if we have a great committee going, if Miles Sanders fucks up, we'll be able to bounce back.
This sounds like the Eagles' offense. What about Miles? Like Miles Sanders is that dude, and it's we got some good guys behind him. So, maybe
that should tell him the amount of confidence I have in him.
Are there going to be any excuses for Hurts this year? Like, does he have everything he needs around him?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're going to know by this year. You're going to know about Hurts.
Oh yeah.
You feel confident? All right.
Yeah, we'll know. I either we'll have our quarterback for the next few years, or we'll have to move off. But now, if he improves a lot and we're able to get a Russell Wilson type of quarterback, because I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be like a top 5 or top 8 quarterback. And I think if you don't have a top 5 or top 8 quarterback in the league, you have to go out and get one. So I guess it depends on the situation, but for the most part, we will know whether he's thumbs up or thumbs down. He has everything he needs.
Seahawk, I meant to ask you this earlier. What's the word on Chase Young and when he'll be able to play and try to get that pressure on Jalen Hurts?
I saw that he was out. I don't know if they have a timetable on that. I think like what's hard about him is like he's really, really talented, but that's all you can say. Like from what you've heard, like the work ethic isn't necessarily there. Putting in the time, watching film isn't really there. He's still relying on instinct and talent. And so I haven't heard like when he's coming back, but I don't think him not being there makes a huge difference with all those other first rounders on that line. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's great to have, but I mean, there's a reason they went and drafted like another tackle, like in the second round. Like,
yeah,
I think they like him. They think he's good, but they're also like, we got a bunch of guys around him that can be good too. So I don't know when, but it's just like, you look at them last year trying to chase around Hurts. And like he was just getting away with stuff I didn't think he should have been able to, being that young, if nothing else. And so, yeah, they got to figure that out. Like those guys have to be able to rush with 4 and do things with 4 because they're not putting the talent behind them to do something different.
Yeah, so let's move to another situation where we're having some YR shakeup, and that is the Dallas Cowboys because they've lost Amari Cooper now, and on paper that seems as though it's kind of a big loss. But last year Cooper kind of showed that he was not up to the same level as a Gallup and particularly a CeeDee Lamb. So now there's going to be further pressure on CeeDee Lamb to be the number one receiver. I mean, he already was, but he was able to do that in a sense because of some of the pressure being pulled off of him from Amari Cooper. Now all of that pressure is going to be on CeeDee Lamb, and they re-signed Michael Gallup, opting to keep him over Cooper. So, Adam, I'm wondering your thoughts on the wide receiver situation in Dallas and also Dak Prescott's health.
Yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb is a star. I'm not concerned about him at all. I think he'll be one of the top receivers in the NFL. It'll be one of the top receivers in fantasy going early in the second round because he's going to get a huge target share, and his efficiency went up last year. My concern, though, is the wide receiver depth on this team. It's really lacking. It's not just Amari Cooper. They lost Cedric Wilson, too.
Yeah.
Again, not a star, but someone that they could have used. And remember, Michael Gallup is he's not going to be ready to start the year. We don't know when he's going to be back coming off the injury. James Washington, who they brought in for depth, is already hurt, so that's a problem.
Yeah.
I do think Jalen Tolbert is going to be pretty good, and they need him to step in immediately. But yet the problem with Dallas this year is they lack depth in a lot of areas. They are well known for a great offensive line. It's not great anymore. If they get an injury or two, they are in big trouble. They have two of the best linemen in the NFL in Tyron Smith and Zach Martin. But if one or two of them go down, and we see Smith go down every year, they're in trouble. I'm not really worried about Dak Prescott. We saw last year, he wasn't completely healthy the entire year. And that's why I think you saw a little inconsistent. We didn't see him run as much. Maybe he runs a little bit more. So I have concerns about this team. The reasons why I'm optimistic is, number one, the division. Number two, the NFC. I have no idea who the best team in the NFC is right now. You want to say the Rams, but we see how difficult it is to repeat. Matthew Stafford's dealing with the elbow issue. I don't know about Tampa Bay. Tom Brady decides he wants to take a 2-week vacation right now, and the offensive line has injuries. So it's kind of wide open in the NFC, which is why if you're a fan of Dallas or Philadelphia, you have to be optimistic. But I'm going to be honest. I think Philadelphia is better than Dallas right now, slightly. If I'm putting money to win this division, and I'm objective, I want the Cowboys to win, and I hope I'm wrong on this. But I would take Philly right now plus 160. Dallas is plus 140. I think Philadelphia is a little bit better. They have a great offensive line. I believe in Hurts. Getting A.J. Brown was huge for that team. And we still have the McCarthy issue hanging over the Cowboys. And look for Sean Payton to be the coach next. That's
a lot of fun.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to be asking about that. We're going to be asking about that down the road. Doug,
I want to add on to that a little bit. So in my opinion, I think Amari's always been the number one on this team, and CD has not been the number one because Amari has taken that role. Now, granted, he wasn't fed like a number one, and that was one of the problems. But the real reason that Amari is gone, it's not just because he wasn't vaccinated and all that other nonsense. A lot of it is he's had multiple foot issues. He wouldn't show up during training camps and stuff. He would always sit out. There were times where they really relied on him. He wasn't there. He's not a dog. The dude plays chess at home. That's what he does. He doesn't have this dog mentality, and that's why a lot of people have bullied him, and that's why they moved on. So they want CD in that leadership role now. What's crazy is he is the most veteran wide receiver we have with Michael Gallup's out right now, besides Noah Brown, who's starting to step up. But, CD is already that mentor on year 3. So this is his year to shine. I'm fine with Dak Prescott. I think the biggest thing that the Cowboys have an issue with is they have fallen in love with the draft. They do not believe in spending money in free agency at all. And they are more than willing to use their rookies in positions where they could really use a veteran. And we could use a veteran at wide receiver. We could use a veteran at offensive line. If we had that, and we damn sure could use a veteran at kicker, and if we had those things, I really would feel confident about this team because I feel damn good about their defense.
Yeah, it's crazy that you bring up the kicker. I was reading an article about that today, about how they with the draft, and the kid doesn't look as though he may be the guy, so they're trying to bring in somebody else.
He's gone.
Yeah, they actually okay.
Yeah, he's gone, and then they brought back Brett Maher, for God's sake.
Oh shit!
And they have a guy who they always were calling last year to kind of be on the line that they never really used, and they're bringing him in. So nobody wanted this guy the entire year last year, and this guy and Brett Maher are our only options right now at kicker. It's a joke.
Hey, so really quick, when's the last time two very informed Cowboys fans got together to talk about the season preview, and Zeke's name didn't.
That's where I was. That's where I was going. That's where I was going. Doug,
Listen,
I want to ask you.
Dying for that contract to end. Dying for that contract to end.
Well, it's and this is actually, to me, going to your point about drafting and playing rookies over veterans. Now, oftentimes we don't see veteran running backs really move around that much. Like, they usually get signed more to be backups just because of the wear and tear on the body. But with the Cowboys, it's this really incredible, just kind of legacy in the past couple of years. We talk about the Green Bay Packers going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and the Cowboys went from DeMarco Murray. Yep. Now there's Zeke, and and then there's this Tony Pollard guy. Yep. And the question is, will Tony Pollard, is this going to be the year where he fully supplants Zeke? Because he has looked as good, if not better, than Zeke at various points of the season. Now, a lot of that has been some injuries, concerns with Zeke, but Pollard has really stepped up. So, Doug, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on this Pollard-Zeke situation, and how do you see the timeshare between them? We could almost have a full running back by committee, but almost a split timeshare.
So Pollard played wide receiver in college some, and that's what I expect. I think that they're going to try to use him more as a Deebo Samuel type role, and I think that Zeke is going to get fed. It's just at the end of the day. And here's the thing, too, is like I said, they don't like paying certain positions. They don't like paying veterans. They're not going to pay Tony Pollard. I don't care how good he is, and I love Tony Pollard. I would love to bring him in. What I would love to do is just sit Zeke down and say, look, you now are splitting reps with Pollard. Let's cut your contract in half. He gets the other half, but they're not going to do that. And we're going to end up eating an $11 million dead money hit to cut Zeke, but we're going to do it because it's a terrible contract. It's probably the worst contract in running back in the NFL.
Yeah. Adam, I wanted to follow up with you. We're talking a lot about receivers in the Cowboys, and Dalton Schultz has had a quietly really, really good past year or so. And I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that tight end position with Schultz and his ability to kind of be that stopgap for Prescott? In a way, it's going to just be it's acting. We oftentimes talk about a tight end being a safety valve of sorts, but for Prescott, Schultz really can be that, and it helps with Lamb, it helps with Gallup, particularly if we don't know if they're going to be starting the season, but to Doug's point about not paying people, Dalton Schultz is going to be a free agent in 2023. So how do you feel about Schultz and keeping him on the team?
I think they made it pretty clear they don't want to pay him.
I agree.
He's not the most talented tight end. He's not very athletic. He took advantage of so much attention on everyone else last year, and that helped him. So he was a product of volume. They're going to need him. They're going to need him to do more this year. Again, with the lack of quality options at wide receiver. But I think they made it clear that they don't envision him as a tight end of the future because they declined to pay him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to add. I know they had Jason Witten. Titans, the Cowboys had a great tight end in Jason Witten. And I think that it feels like their standard is, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
This man last year had 104 targets. He had 80 catches. He had 8 touchdowns. What more do y'all possibly want from your tight end that can block as well? So
you know what's crazy about though? Nobody hates Dalton Schultz more than Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans hate Dalton Schultz, and I don't get it. I think he's actually become very reliable for Dak. He made a lot of plays for us. The problem is Njoku got a 4-year deal for like $54 million right before the season started. And David Njoku's stats are garbage. And so that Dalton Schultz's agent was like, he's got to get at least that. And the Cowboys are like, oh, hell no, we're not giving him that. And we already have him on the books for $11 million. So we'll just do this. Here's another thing about the Dallas Cowboys that is somewhat unfair, because when you're talking about a GM situation, other teams focus on this year and this year alone because their jobs are on the line. Jerry's job isn't on the line. Steven's job isn't on the line. Will McClay's job basically isn't on the line. So basically what we're doing, we have $20 million in cap space right now. we are saving that for next year because we know we have to pay CD. We know we have to pay Trayvon Diggs. We know we're going to have to pay Micah. We know Dak's contract will be up in 2 years. Like, we are planning for the future, and a lot of teams don't have that luxury. A lot of teams are like, the hell with it. We'll mess up our cap. We'll keep moving forward. We'll keep, we're just, look, this is what we've got to focus on right now. Hope it's good enough because we've got to plan for our future. And it frustrates the piss out of Cowboy Nation.
It's crazy because, part of the whole thing about guaranteed contracts and signing bonuses is that the owner has to put the money in escrow in order to pay the person.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's not like Jerry Jones doesn't have the money to put that.
He's got the money.
You'll face that dead cap hit down the road for sure, especially if you cut the player or trade him. But it's crazy to me. Like, I'm looking at Dak's cap hit right now. And this year it's 19.7 million, but next year it's going to be $49 million.
Yeah.
With a base salary of 31.
Right.
That it's so I guess this is really, to me, the ultimate question for the Cowboys is, Adam and Doug, how do you guys feel about Dak being the quarterback long term, or is this just kind of a situation where they're, training up the offense to let some either veteran or rookie potentially step in there and try to take the team over the hump? Adam?
Yeah, I think they believe Dak is the guy. Again, last year he was hurt. He was playing through injury. I mean, you could clearly see it, battling a couple of injuries. But I think they believe he is the guy. But again, they need to surround him at least with some more depth at wide receiver until Michael Gallup comes back. I'm surprised they haven't tried to make a run we haven't heard anything about Will Fuller. I mean, maybe he's waiting for Deshaun Watson and wants to play with him. And that's my guess with him.
He ain't going to play with him this year.
Yeah. Well,
Ruth Goodell has anything to say about it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, I think Fuller would have been a good guy to add, and we're really not hearing anything about him. Even Odell Beckham, although he's probably out half the year. But I think they need to add another wide receiver here on this team.
Yep. My thoughts on Dak is I just don't think we're going to get any better. So, there's just no point in going there. And the problem is because the contract was so messy last time, we have no franchise tag for him when the contract is up. So, they have to come to an agreement and figure it out. And I don't know how much Dak's going to want and all that nonsense. I hate his agent. I think he's a scumbag. There's just a lot of things that are But I do think, though, now that Dak has got paid, I think he'll be a little bit more willing. But the thing is why would you be willing to save money for the team if they're not going to go spend the money? So that's one of the problems. And I also think Cowboys have some recency biases in, look, we gave Zeke a contract, terrible deal. We gave La'el Collins a contract. He's gone. We gave Jalen Smith a contract. That was a terrible idea. We keep getting burned. The biggest issue that we've had is when we decide to actually pay our own, they all of a sudden fall off a cliff. DeMarcus Lawrence, you name it, except our offensive line. But even Travis Frederick had to retire. So what we end up doing is we get production from our rookies, and while they're in that 4 or 5 year contract, and then when we end up paying them, they just don't produce anymore, and it's bit them in the butt so many times. So I think the biggest thing though with Dak is he has a ton of heart. I think that his leadership is through the roof. He'll die on that field if he has to. And he loves Dak's one of those dudes that will be best friends with the defensive players just like he is with the offensive players. He's not one of these guys that sticks his nose up in the air and doesn't talk to people and all that stuff. Dak is a ride or die dude, and I think they love Dak, but I just don't know if it will ever be enough to where all the pieces will be there that we can get over the hump.
Let me ask you this real quick.
Oh, yeah.
What happens if Trevin Diggs goes back to the 3 interceptions instead of 11?
I think it's going to be very interesting because he can get paid next year. So
that's what I'm saying. Do you think he still gets paid because granted, and this is no shade, but we all watch the games. He wasn't good, but he made a lot of plays. So if the playmaking falls off, do you think they still try to keep him? Which one's the anomaly? I guess what would they think? Do you think they have to resign him?
So here's my thing. I think cornerstone players that they view now is Diggs, CD, Micah Parsons. Those players are the ones that are going to be their priorities. And of course, Dak. And the rest of it, they're going to draft. I mean, they got Michael Gallup. And the interesting thing about wide receiver is if Gallup can come back like week 3, Gallup, Jalen Tolbert, CD is not the worst thing in the world. You're literally just trying to hang on. But your first 2 weeks, you've got Cincinnati, you've got Tampa Bay and then Cincinnati. So it's like murderer's row. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's an interesting season. That's all I can say. I don't think they did enough in the offseason to put us in a great position, though. I think that we're definitely going to be reeling to try to get to win the division. But I think we'll be good enough to beat the Eagles and win the division.
Well, piggybacking off of Micah Parsons and all of that, question for Adam and Doug. With Randy Gregory gone now at Mile High Stadium, I guess it's not called Mile High Stadium anymore, but
it's in Power Field at Mile High.
Power Field, that's right. But are you confident in your pass rush this season? And will Micah Parsons be targeted more by offenses as a result?
So I'll answer. I think we're better. I also think we're better. I think Randy Gregory is unreliable. I think that Randy Gregory, regardless of what you want to say about the whole marijuana thing, I don't really care about that, but he always finds a way to get injured. He's in the offseason right now because he had another surgery. And on top of that, he has an attitude problem. At the end of the day, we lost that playoff game partly because of Randy Gregory. Because on the third down with only like a minute and a half left, he decides to bear hug an offensive lineman, take them down, and give them a new set of downs, which left us with only like 20 seconds left in the game. So personally, I'm ready to move on. I think Sam Williams is very good. I honestly think that he's going to surprise a lot of people. I like the pickup of Anthony Barr. Dante Fowler, I think, is going to have a little bit of a resurgence. This always happens in Dallas. We signed a 1-year vet minimum or veteran deal with a bunch of like cheap incentive, whatever. Like I think he's like $3 million, if that. He's already coached with Quinn. I think that Quinn will know how to use him. And I think Micah will be competing with Aaron Donald for best defensive player of the year. I think Micah is just an absolute freak.
Yeah, not worried about Mike at all. I mean, teams knew last year coming in, he's the guy to stop, and they couldn't stop him. I mean, the guy's just a force. The one thing, though, about the Cowboys defense that I do have the concern about is last year they were plus 14 in turnover differential. That never repeats the next year. It just doesn't happen, whether it's a deflection of the ball, the bounce. It rarely happens. So they got really fortunate on the turnover battle last year. But on the flip side, it forced the offense to kind of not – they had an easy schedule too. And they were able to be conservative. They didn't open up the offense. They played at a fast pace, one of the faster paces, which they do under Kellen Moore, but they kind of sat back a little bit. So I think that you could see the offense open up a little bit more. They're going to be forced to be in some shootouts. You talked about some of the early season opponents on the schedule with the Bengals and Tampa. We saw last year with Tampa. That game was an absolute electric shootout week 1. So you're going to see the offense be forced to put up numbers early on, especially against the better teams.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch the Cowboys because they and Philly are the two.
Well, they're always fun because you got the haters who are rooting for them to lose, and then of course you got the fans who like to see them. But they are an exciting team. They have firepower on offense, and they are fun to watch. They're not one of these boring teams that just run the football all the time.
And that brings us to the redheaded stepchild of the division.
And in typical Cowboys fashion, they dominate the entire show in typical Cowboys fashion.
Hold on, StatKing. Let me add because we got another one backstage, and top guy JG, if you could introduce him.
Oh wow! Well, I guess who this is. This has got to be my good old older brother. Another fan, my man Nicholas. You're about to get some help in this chat here because this guy has been a fan of the Eagles since I've been a child. So
I like him already.
You'll be able to help out with dialogue.
That's way back then.
Huh?
No, I said that's way back.
Oh, it's way back. My brother's old as fuck. I'll let you know that right. But here's my brother Neil. He should be popping in any moment. Put him probably right in between, right with the other little Eagles fan over here.
So let me
Hello.
next to each other.
What's up, dude? Get your ass off mute.
Yeah, you're muted, buddy.
All right, here we go. Sorry about that.
So yeah, we're moving to the redheaded stepchild of the division, the New York Football Giants. And one piece of news that I was going to get to in our news breakdown, but it seems good to talk about it here, is Darius Slayton, a guy that the Giants had a lot of hopes for when they first were drafting him, seems to be buried on the depth chart. And the poor guy, here he is asking Brian Daboll if you want me to leave. Like, what do you? I don't exactly understand what. I can still catch. I can still play, coach. But the Giants.
Don't worry. He's gonna get a chance to play. But these receivers don't stay healthy for the Giants.
That's where we're going.
He's gonna get a chance.
That train ain't missing.
That's where we're going with this.
Lineup going down.
The Giants have been racked over the years with injuries, whether it has been Golden Tate, whether it's been Kenny Galladay. They seem to have an affinity for
Sterling Shepard.
Yes,
Shepard.
They seem to
That's
have
the worst one. He's the main one. He's the main one.
They seem to have the main
Tony.
one.
Tony.
They seem to have an affinity for bringing in Detroit Lions wide receivers, and then they suck.
He sneezes, and he gets injured.
But none more susceptible than apparently Saquon Barkley. And the question ultimately is, can Saquon Barkley stay healthy? Because if he can stay healthy, well, it opens up a little bit of play action. I mean, if you're handing the ball off to Devontae Booker, shit. If you're handing the ball off to Devontae Booker on a play action, I mean, it's just defenses know it's gonna be a pass.
I'm already getting buried. Holy shit!
He hasn't even.
Look on the plus side. On the plus side, you guys. On the plus side, they lost the perennial dropper of Evan Engram, but they added Ricky Seals-Jones to try to make up the slack. So, Josh, I want to ask you, how do you feel about the Giants for this season? And the biggest question to me, outside of the healthiness, is this really going to be Daniel Jones's pretty much last year in New York? Well, New Jersey.
I mean, where do I start from there?
Are you a fan of Daniel Jones?
I mean, I like Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Daniel Jones. I think last year what it was that from the games that I got to watch, he did try to win games for his team. Unfortunately, no one around him can stay healthy. That's always been the issue so far. As for if it's going to be his make or break year, same thing as Saquon. You know, both of them, you know, they have something to play for this year. And I think that's more so what the direction is going to be for this year, because I do have them finishing last in the division. But I do like the front office moves. I like the fact that they focused on that. I think that was the main thing before anything they needed to focus on. So I did like the fact that they did that. I mean, but overall,
can I throw in a fun fact about that real quick?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
This is the first time in more than 40 years that the Giants looked outside the organization for help.
Yeah, that's believe me, that was one of the big things that I was like, what? I still couldn't believe it when I heard that. But I think that's why that's why I was glad they actually looked, somewhere else, not within the organization, because that hasn't worked. That hasn't worked the last few seasons. So, I mean, it was something that they had to do. But I mean, overall the season, I mean, I guess only thing I look forward to is hopefully they play, hard. That's the only thing I can really say. Because I think last season after Jones got hurt, they just pretty much gave up. And I think that was the most frustrating part about it. When you're watching your team and you they gave up. I think that was like the toughest thing for me, and that I kind of just gave up after that. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. That is how I feel. I mean, the only thing that I looked forward to this season was, this year in general, was that at least I got to meet Eli Manning. That's the only thing I got looking forward to.
Memories. Yeah.
That's about
I like
it.
that.
That's about it.
Let me
Well,
real quick.
All you need to
just
know
something-
about the
oh,
all
I'm
you
sorry.
need to know about the Giants is over the last 5 years, they haven't been above 500 at any point in the season.
God damn. At all.
Oh,
At all. At all.
dang.
I will say I'm very optimistic. I'm more optimistic, I should say, about their future with Gettleman gone.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I personally think you're heading the right direction. This is just going to be the growing pains year, maybe 2, because you had a lot of bad contracts. You had to eat a lot of money. You're not able to do a lot of free agency. But I mean, I think the GM hire was good. I think the head coach hire was good. Like I give you props for that. So I mean, I think it's going to suck for a little bit, but I think you'll be heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think honestly it's more so, just fans in general, they just need to be patient because usually in New York, that's usually never the case. One bad play takes one bad play for everyone to just turn on you.
Giants fans right now are the meme where it's they're looking at they brought in people from Buffalo for head coach, brought in people from Buffalo as the general manager. It's the classic Lord, I've seen what you've done for others. I just wish you could do. I just pray you do that for me. But Seahawk,
Can I add some Giants thoughts?
Go for it, Romeo.
Because I follow the Giants very closely here in New York. They need to get their roster turned over to get their guys, Dable guys and Schoen guys. This is going to be a long-term project. I gave them such a bad record in my record predictions because I've seen it all before. Everybody gets hurt. Everybody gets hurt on this Giants roster.
You were the most down.
Yeah. And you know what? It's going to happen so early.
That's why he gave up. That's why he gave up being a Giants fan.
And it happened so early.
I can't blame him.
And it'll happen early that I think the front office will just be like, you know what? They're going to like half-ass tank it and try to get their quarterback. I don't think they want to attach themselves to Daniel Jones. They'll give him a shot. But all the injuries will be Daniel Jones himself might get injured too. Like he's not the freshest of them all.
I'm really surprised they're going into year 4 with this dude, man. Like, and I'm not trying to throw, but it's like, the last 2 years alone, this man has had 22 passing touchdowns in the past 2 years. 2 years, 22 touchdowns.
Honestly, that's kind of a miracle just with their receiver core just always being injured. Always being injured.
Let's see about those
I think
receivers.
the other factor, they've had terrible coaching, and it really matters in the NFL. I mean, they've been so boring. Jason Garrett there. Come on. We know about Jason Garrett. I mean, that's not going to work out.
Especially with the running back like Saquon. Yeah. Like Saquon cannot carry the ball 300 times. You're going to kill that kid. You know what I mean?
You can't. Yeah.
No, him walking out of the locker room is going to get him hurt.
A buddy of mine,
these coaches.
A buddy of mine coached Detroit. He was a special teams coach for Detroit for a couple of years. And I was asking him just about just weight training and like who does this and who lifts this much. And he was like, yo, you got to understand during the season, it ain't about how much you can lift. It's about staying healthy. And it's about just like not getting injured, like doing something you shouldn't be doing. And the reason I say that, I'm University of Texas grad, so I watched a lot of Big 12 football. I remember Alan Lazard being the man at Iowa State. Nobody could defend him, but it was simply because he's taller and longer than everybody, right? He gets to the league, he's playing with Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to kill it. He's okay. Like he's just okay. So I'm watching the Giants game tonight, and like Colin Johnson is out there basically as the one. I love Colin Johnson in college, but he was just taller and longer with bigger hands than everybody. That's not the case anymore. So if you're going into a season with a guy like that, and I'm watching him, he's fumbling, he's dropping balls, and he's going to be like one of your top 3 receivers, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to get the shot to let anybody know if he's the guy or not. Because even when he gets to put the ball out there, I don't think he has guys who are going to get separation or guys that are going to make plays for him. Like they've had a wide receiver issue, like you guys have said, for like 5 years. And I don't think that's going to change this year with the guys they have on that roster.
It's not going to change.
I think I read a stat somewhere like the Giants wide receivers were like the worst at getting separation last year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, they were. Yeah.
And
they were.
The tight end position just got worse too, so it's gonna.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one, Chief.
Who is your tight end then, Keith? Who is the tight end?
Ricky Seals Jones,
Ricky Seals Jones.
and
Daniel
you could put
Bellinger.
an actual seal on the field, and it'll be better than Evan Ingram.
Believe me, Ingram. Believe me, if you was to watch Ingram the way I was watching him,
it's a low bar to clear to be better than.
And if you saw that bum Ricky Seals Jones in Arizona and every other stop he's been in, it ain't much better, Chief.
I think you'll see the rookie Daniel Bellinger be the starter for them at tight end.
That would be more like.
By the way, I like the draft.
I prefer that.
Thibodeau, Evan Neal.
Yeah, I like the
Thibodeau and Evan Neal. That was
they
draft.
did. Yeah, they did They did good in the draft. I was happy with that at least.
They're getting their guys.
Thibodeau is Odell a defensive end, though. He's going to be a problem in New York. I'm telling you right now, that guy's got too much diva in him. And like the fact that they were saying that like he for his like pre-rookie draft meetings, he was discussing his brand and NFTs and not football. Like that's the type of dude that he is. I think he's going to be a problem, especially if the Giants suck this year. I think that media will love him and he will talk way too much.
You know, it's funny that you say that. That I actually have a buddy of mine. He's actually doing like a private signing with him soon. And he said he kind of got that vibes too from him.
That's what he is, dude. When he was on the NFL Network and he was just like talking and just like you could tell he wanted to be in movies. He don't want to play football. Like he wants to be Hollywood. That's what that guy is. I think he's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Doug, you said Odell. There are so many Giants fans out there who miss Odell so much. They give anything to have him back. Anything to have him back.
Look, a guy who can do stuff, I bet they do miss that. Like, and it's weird like talking about the Giants because I have no problem with like the Giants. Like they're fine, but it's just when you watch them, it's just like this thing got so bad so quick, and they've taken everything they can do to fix it. But if you can't stay healthy, like there's just nothing you can do, nothing at all. And
this was a respected organization for years, and they've turned into one of the biggest laughing stocks in the league. They need a big overhaul. They got to start shifting that culture.
Anything they've lost, like they haven't replaced anything. Like they just keep losing piece after piece, and then they finally get a shot at the number 2 pick, and they take a running back with it. And they haven't been able to recover ever since.
No, their problem has been with the Giants. Speaking of the number 2 pick, I had this conversation many a times that they should have never taken Saquon with the number 2. I would have taken one of the D linemen or a linebacker, and I would have just tried to move up and take next. I mean, what's the name from the Browns?
Nick Chubb.
Chubbs. I would have taken Chubbs that year. I told everybody this. Chubbs was going to be better than Barkley. Barkley is a beefed up. What's the name? He's a beefed up Reggie Bush. Bush. He's a beefed up Reggie Bush. He doesn't run between the tackles. Everybody blames the old line why that it was so bad. But I watched the games and the other running backs came up, Freeman and other guys. They actually ran the ball pretty decent between that supposed bad O-line. Only one who struggled was Barkley because all he does is run on East and West. I'm like, dude, you're too big just to be doing that. You're not Barry Sanders.
Yeah, my problem is more the pick, the spot they chose, like the running back spot. Like what big name that they've gotten in the draft that was not Saquon Barkley that has panned out so far?
Really hasn't.
Didn't Saquon have injury problems in college too, which makes
he did.
Yeah,
makes an even more questionable pick. Yeah,
he did. No, it was questionable. Well, they did it because of the dynamics. I just thought, and they thought they could steal one because that was Eli's last season with the Giants. If he was going to be good, they could probably, make a push in the playoffs with Barkley. But they needed more than that. I even thought that they would have been at least a little bit better, with him there at least the last year. But overall, they just I don't know. I blame the front office. Gettleman, I thought wasn't bad, but the owners, not even Tish, but their other owner is not good. He's more of a problem. He's just as bad quietly, like Jerry Jones.
Well, I want to.
Like he gets in everybody's way. He gets in everybody's way or whatever in terms of personnel. I don't even want to talk about him that he in terms of his personal beliefs. About only wanting players that don't kneel. Like there's a lot of reasons why that ownership is bad. That team is bad. The players are part of it, but it's the ownership is just bad. They just get away with it because their history of their ownership has been so good. People just they're kind of ignoring that and they letting them get away with it.
So earlier we were talking about the Eagles offense, and now I kind of want to turn towards the Eagles defense. I found an interesting little stat here. It says that teams were able to pick apart Philadelphia's linebackers and safeties a year ago. The Eagles ranked 29th in QBR allowed on throws targeting tight ends, with opposing quarterbacks completing a league-high 77% of their passes to the position. They ranked 23rd in QBR allowed on throws between the hashes and 29th in QBR allowed on passes 20 or more yards downfield. A passive two-deep scheme kept teams from throwing downfield very often. Only the Bills faced fewer deep passes than Philly a year ago, but teams were efficient attacking the middle of the field and operating downfield. Now, we're talking about how the Cowboys are putting more on CeeDee Lamb, and he's going to be stretching that outside, and we're questioning who exactly is going to be the mix on the inside and the middle. But we also have the Washington Commanders who have added Dotson, and they are going to be attacking in different ways that we haven't seen before. So how do our two Philly fans feel about their defense? I mean, we know that they kept Fletcher Cox and they have built a pretty good defense, but it seems as though there are some serious potential weaknesses that are going to be able to do something about keeping the ball out of the hands of A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Nick, how are you feeling about the defense?
So part of the problem last year was, our players and personnel were not great, but our defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, was very soft with the coverages he called. I'm not sure whether that was due to the players he had to work with or his own personal strategies and the way he called the defense. That was part of the problem. I think Jonathan Gannon needs to be more aggressive and blitz the quarterback more, especially in a league like today where a pass rush is key for a defense. I do think over the offseason, we really improved in almost every aspect of our defense besides safety. Safety's a little questionable, but other than that, I'm pretty confident in our acquisitions, both in the draft with Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, and other players as well to kind of beef up our depth and our starting players on defense to be able to cover the middle of the field better.
Yeah, they spent the most money on Hassan Reddick for that on the linebacker position to try to
that was our big free agent
get
acquisition.
more help there. So, Neil, how are you feeling about the Eagles defense?
Well, I feel good this year because one of the key players that we definitely missed last year was Brandon Graham. First time that he's been our Iron Man since he came in the league. For him to be out that year, that was a big blow. The reason that our defense struggles, especially our linebackers for years haven't really been good. As long as I've been an Eagles fan, like we haven't had a good core of linebackers. Trotter was like the last part of it in the mid 2000s, but before that, I would have to go back to, when probably like the early 90s. But the point I would say for us, having Brandon Graham back, that's huge. Getting Hassan Reddick back, the hometown kid, that's going to be big. Because we need the pass rush. We were like almost dead last in sacks. Something that's unheard of. So Gannon, like Nick said, that has to step up and and add more blitzes or do something, be more creative with the defense. I think we can now that we got Slay and picking up former Giant Bradbury. I think that's going to help us a lot as well. Plus, I like the rook. I like who we picked up in the draft, which was definitely huge. Getting
Jordan Davis.
Johnson, Jordan Davis. I would have loved, I would have loved for us to get my boy from Notre Dame, the
Kyle
safety.
Hamilton?
I would have loved for us to get him. I thought he would have been huge for our secondary. That would have been a replacement for Dawkins, for real. But we took Davis. I'm fine with that because it looks like it possibly could be Cox's last season in Philly. So he could be the replacement. But we got Kyron Johnson. We actually paid attention to the linebacker spot. So hopefully he gets up to speed and, and helps us at that position.
That was a low-key good pick, because I think
Nakobe Dean. Yeah, Nakobe Dean. Like this was the first time we actually paid attention. It wasn't the first round. We still haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round since '79. But at least in the mid rounds, we paid attention to that position because it was our weakest position. It's been that way for quite some time.
Yeah,
But
I low-key really like the Kyron Johnson pick, like you said, because I think he can be a future Hassan Reddick for us. He has a lot of similar skill sets.
He does.
Now, Adam and Doug, we alluded to it earlier. Adam did a little bit, but the Mike McCarthy situation is a situation for sure because he got the job done in Green Bay once, and a lot of people really attribute that more to Aaron Rodgers than Mike McCarthy. And he has not been able to get the job done in Dallas. There always seems to be something that stops them. And yes, there have been injuries, but there's also been some coaching issues. So one of the questions is that we've since we've started the THH Sports, especially because of the Sean Payton retirement, was whether or not Sean Payton would make it over to the Cowboys, which has been, his dream job for years and years. But I was wondering, what do you think are the odds of somebody not Sean Payton taking over the team? And if it was somebody not Sean Payton, would you see Jerry being willing to take a risk on somebody as young as a Kellen Moore, or who would you want to be in that position other than McCarthy? Adam, how about you?
Yeah, from what I'm hearing it is going to be Payton. That's why he's sitting out. He has close ties to Dallas. He has a home in Dallas. So all indications are that's what he's waiting for. So my guess is it's going to be him. McCarthy, I just don't see him getting it done. It's kind of embarrassing that he only got one Super Bowl title with Aaron Rodgers, right? In his prime, so to expect him to come here and turn this team around, I was not happy with the hire. And I felt they've underachieved under him. I thought they had a really good team last year, and I think coaching is a big deal in the NFL. You obviously need the quarterback and you need the players. I mean, we saw with the Rams, right? They went from Goff to Stafford and they won. But I do think you need at least a solid head coach. And there was too much talent on this team last year for them to end up the way they did.
The reason, I was just going to throw one other thing. The reason why I'm asking is because they did bring in Dan Quinn to be that defensive coordinator, and he does have head coaching experience. So I'll just throw that one in there as a wrinkle. But Doug, same question for you.
So look, the whole thing, and they've actually even had conversations with this where Dan Quinn told Mike McCarthy, like, if this is getting uncomfortable, I'll leave. So I personally think that Dan Quinn is the favorite to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys in the future. I do not believe the Sean Payton stuff. And I'll tell you why. Because Sean Payton likes to control the salary cap, and he likes to spend a ton of money to the point to where the Saints were $100 million in dead money, and they had to just redo contracts to get out of that.
All 100 million going to Taysom Hill. Sorry.
There is no way in hell Stephen Jones, and I say Stephen Jones because I think Jerry is much more of a puppet at this point. Jerry is the one, he's the salesman. The one running this team more so now is Stephen Jones, and Will McClay is the GM. That's really what people don't understand. They want to say that this is Jerry doing these moves. Jerry ain't doing shit anymore. Jerry is on the sidelines. He's 80 years old. He shows up. Yeah, that was a good idea. We went with that. He talks about like a midget in a thong and had to apologize for using the word midget. Like, Jerry is out of this thing. What's really going on is Stephen Jones really runs this team, in my opinion. And I personally think that Mike McCarthy is much more of a Stephen Jones hire. And I think that that is going to be the difference is when this doesn't work, who do they favor? You know what I mean?
We invest in our neighborhoods.
Somebody is
that ain't me.
Businesses that help them thrive.
What I think it's me.
Give power to the dollar. This for
Get it together.
minority owned.
Oh, I think it was Adam.
Okay, cool.
Found the culprit. I wanted to ask an additional question. Mike McCarthy, what would he have to do this year to not get fired?
Yeah, that's
NFC Championship. I don't think he has to win it. I just think he has to get there. I just think he has to get over the hump. I also think it would be huge if the Cowboys could win the division 2 years in a row, because in the NFC East, nobody can win the division 2 years in a row. So I think that would be a big hurdle to do. And then I think that if he gets the NFC Championship, I think that he would be safe. The thing about Mike McCarthy to me, I don't think he's a terrible coach. I just think that he doesn't really want to be involved. He wants Kellen to do the offense. He wants Dan to do the defense, and then he's just ready to sit back and get all the glory. And that's not the best coach, but he's also not really overstepping his bounds and screwing a bunch of stuff up either. But we do need somebody to really say, like, hey, Kellen, like, we're running the ball way too much here. Or, you know, can we do some motion sometimes? Something, you know, because I feel like that he sold a bill of goods to Jerry that, like, he watched all this tape and when he was fired and all this stuff, and he's now this new offensive guru. That's a bunch of bull crap. I think that Mike's very conservative almost, except when he wants to go for on fourth down a lot. He does like to do that. So,
yeah, we've talked about players a lot. We've talked about coaches a lot. We're slowly creeping our way up to ownership, and I would be remiss, Seahawk, if I did not ask.
I was about to stop my camera and leave. Oh my God!
Never let him go. Never let him go.
If I didn't ask you, when is Dan Snyder going to sell the team?
He's not. He's never going to sell the team. Like, it took me a long time to come around to this idea that, like, owners were not in the game to win. Owners were in the game to own.
Yeah.
And, like, it's absurd, but also I never had no money, so it's not for me to understand, right? But no, there's just nothing about him that says sell that team. I knew he was never going to sell the team when they had Robert Griffin out there on one leg, up 14 points against the Seahawks. And nobody ever really took anybody to task for doing that. They just kind of just kept going about business and decided, well, we got Kirk Cousins. He's the future. And he has been, I hate that everybody uses the word mid now, but nobody is more mid than Kirk Cousins. Nobody is more all right than Kirk Cousins, right? It's just been, and then we haven't even talked sex scandals. Like, we haven't talked about what's going on in the actual office where the front office is located. No, he's a man of immense power who literally decides, I'm not going to go see the grand jury. I'm not going to talk to the feds. Nobody. I'm just going to keep going. So no, he's going to be there until God takes him where he decides he needs to go. And that's not going to happen soon enough. It's the problem with early success is that it buys you so much time when you're the person in charge. And yeah, it's just nothing's going to change anytime soon. And then blips on the radar happen, like good Jason Campbell season and good Robert Griffin season and almost good Kirk Cousins season. And, oh, we didn't even have a quarterback and made the playoff season. It's always just enough to never justify anything really changing. And so, yeah, I got my Super Bowl in 92. I was a little 5-year-old kid running around having a ball. And it might never happen again, but people like me are going to hold on to that forever, and it's never going to be strong enough unless there's something you can actually put that man behind bars for that's going to make him leave. It's just, it's how we're going to live.
He's Teflon Dan, basically.
Yeah. Go Nationals. Yeah.
But guys, any of you have any questions for anybody else in this division when it comes to their teams?
I got a question for the Eagles fans here. I'm looking at your team stats from last season, and very eye opening. Your leading quarterback was also your leading rusher.
Yep.
You got us. You got AJ. You got Devontae. You got Dallas Goedert. You got Miles Sanders that should be a running back. What do you think should be the ratios, either one of you, to take the Eagles to the next level? Because you guys had almost 3,000 yards rushing, but barely over 3,000 yards passing. What should the ratio be to take you guys to the next level?
I would say for us to go to the next level, at least a little bit over 50% passing. Just because if we go over that, then that means that we're running well, and our wide receivers are doing well and keeping the secondary honest. Because when we did run the ball, that's when we started winning. Ironically, it was when Sanders got injured. But I think the other part is to get Sanders going early. That was the problem that we had last year. Sanders didn't do anything, and by the time he came back, he had to get in where he fit in, because Boston Scott and Gainwell, who was also like another receiver for us, those guys wound up going off, and Sanders had to make his way. Hopefully this year he'll be the guy who catches the ball well as well. But to answer your question, I would say at least 51% passing, because then that would mean that he improves his passing game and don't have to rely on that.
That's kind of exactly where you were last year. That's kind of why I'm asking. You were
but that was only because to start off the year, that's all we did was pass. We hardly ran the ball.
Yeah. I was going to say around the same thing. We do need to improve our passing. I don't think we need to change our identity, because it worked very well for us last year. And with Jalen Hurts being a rushing quarterback, I do think rushing does need to be a big part of our offense. But I think the passing game does need to develop, even if it develops on top of the running game. So probably 60 passing, 40 running. But yeah, the passing does need to improve. But I don't think we really need to do a whole huge change from our identity from last season that worked very well.
All right, guys, we're gonna go around the horn and see what each one of you, if you did a complete win-loss breakdown. If you didn't, no worries. Just give your, if you did say what you think each team's gonna win and lose, and if you didn't, just give us who you think is gonna be winning the division. Adam, we will start with you, sir.
Yeah, I got the Eagles and Cowboys both at 10-7. I actually might be the only one here who has the Giants ahead of Washington. I think the Giants are going to be better than people expect. So I have the Giants going 6-11, and I have Washington with 5-12.
All right, Doug, how about you?
I'm right around that 10-7 range too. I think that the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to be in a dogfight all the way throughout the year. I think we're going to split, and I think that the Cowboys are going to win the division though, and I think Washington is going to be almost a sleeper because they lost some close games, and I just think Wentz is a way better quarterback than what they had. I don't think Wentz is great, but I think he's way better than what they had. And he'll have some random weird games, but he'll also have some games where it's like, damn, he's pretty good. Not bad. He had a great game that game. And I think that I really think that Washington could be looking around 7 wins and the Giants are more like 5-6 wins, something like that. I think that's probably what it will be.
Josh, how about you?
Can I ask Doug and Adam real quick?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they have the Cowboys winning the division. How far do they go in the playoffs?
Depends on matchups. It's all about matchups. That's just honest truth. Seeding and matchups. That's really what gets people to the dance.
Yeah, the NFC to me is just so wide open. There's so many question marks in the NFC. There's just not a lot of good teams. So it wouldn't be surprising if Philadelphia or Dallas, if things break right, actually reach the Super Bowl. Because again, when you look at this conference, like who are the great teams right now? You know, San Francisco looks good on paper, but is Trey Lance going to get the job done?
Right.
Rams, it's tough to repeat. Again, Tampa's got age, offensive line question marks. You got a lot of teams that are kind of rebuilding, like Carolina and Atlanta. Arizona always gets off to a good start, and then Kyler Murray fades down the stretch, and Kingsbury hasn't been great. Seattle's bad. So, and I think Green Bay has always been a great regular season team, and then the playoffs come and they don't have enough. And now you lost Devontae Adams. Minnesota, new coaching staff. The Bears stink. I think the Lions could really surprise. I would easily take their over 6.5 wins right now. But as far as the NFC, it's so wide open, which is why if you are a fan of Philly or Dallas, you have to have a little optimism because the NFC is so wide open.
Yep. Josh, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's going to be between Dallas and Philadelphia. I think I got the edge to Dallas. I think they're going to end up going 10-7. I think the Eagles probably 10-7 as well, 9-8 probably. I think with the Eagles it's going to be more of what they get from Jalen Hurts. I think like last year they went 9-8, but he was super inconsistent. I think that was the main thing for that team, and they still had a winning record. They still made it to the playoffs. As for the Commanders, I got them at, I would say 8-9, just because we don't know what version we're getting of Carson Wentz. Like Doug said, sometimes he's really good. There's games that he's really good, and then there's games that he's really bad. If he's anything like that last game against Jacksonville, that's gonna be a tough ride. But as for the Giants, I got them at probably 6-11.
Seahawk, how about you?
Yeah, without the specific wins and losses, I got Philly winning the division. I think that the way that Jalen Hurts played, I think teams are probably still a year away from figuring out exactly what to do with him. I think that if he doesn't improve, that catches up. But I still think that at that age, with that optimism, because the kid has desire, if nothing else. Like, who knows if he's ever going to be franchise pocket passer quarterback, or even every man will your team to win quarterback. Who knows if that's what he's going to be, right? But I think that with what he brings athletically, with the talent he has around him, it's still going to be at least a year before teams are like, okay, this is what we can put in front of him. This is what's going to make him uncomfortable. I think that the thing with Dallas is, again, you look at a guy like Trevon Diggs, and it's just like you were able to make a lot of plays. One, because, you had a team who could put up a lot of points, or Dak slinging that ball down the field. I don't know if that translates to another year. Like, sometimes going for that ball turns into a touchdown for the other guy. It's just kind of the way it works. And like we talked about it, the running back thing's in flux. And I don't know how many teams have historically gotten better the next year after losing their number one receiver, regardless of their production. So I think Dallas is right there with Philly, but I still give Philly the edge. Washington, like watching these guys all the time, the biggest thing that everybody knows but people don't talk about, for like a decade and a half, we've been a historically bad third down team on defense, regardless of who the coordinator is, regardless of personnel. That's not something you just all of a sudden fix. And so that's why playing against a guy like Dak, playing against a guy like Jalen Hurts, you can't be bad on third down, because those are guys who know how to make that happen. It's a league where everybody's scheming like spread, and there are option routes and just so much people can do. You don't clean that up in 1 year. That's a process. And we're not getting better on third down. I think we win some games, but I don't think that we have the quarterback necessarily to put us back in games. That's my biggest thing. The Giants are just ass. And that's not like, it's not a shot. Like, we all kind of agree on when we talk about personnel, when we talk about injuries, everything. Like, they're just not good. And so, I think it's gonna shape up. Philly in first, Dallas in second, but really close. Both could make the playoffs. Washington being super pedestrian, and the Giants being ass.
Neil, what are your thoughts on for win-loss records and who's winning the division?
I have the Eagles on 11-6, winning the division. Cowboys in second, Washington third, Giants last. I went back and forth in my head. I do think division wise, I would give Dak the number one in terms of best quarterback by default. Of course, I'll say Wentz, because even though he has some crazy wonky injury years, but he's on the second best in the division. That's why I'll give them a little opportunity. And of course, Jalen Hurts. If you're saying, Adam, you said that we had opportunity on one of the teams to go to the Super Bowl. If we go to the Super Bowl, then I'm assuming Jalen Hurts is playing his ass off and going to the Pro Bowl that season.
What do you have the Cowboys going? If the Eagles are 11-6.
Oh, 10-7.
So that means
I
the
have
other
them going
teams are
10-7.
really bad.
About just under 500. Because Washington, I just think that they don't have enough. Like defensively, they're good, but we don't know Young when he's going to come back. Their secondary took a bit of a hit. And
those linebackers aren't real people. We don't know them. They're not real people.
They're the wide receivers. The wide receivers outside of McLaren, it's a question mark. And I know that's one. Carson Wentz definitely had the luxury and pass of having pretty good wide receivers. So I know it's going to be McLaren. He's going to have a great year, but is everybody else going to do anything? Running back situation, they're good, but I think they need a little bit more depth there. I just think offensively they don't have enough for them to make that strong push for the division. That's why I got them at third. And the Giants, I think they do have some talent, but Jones and the people you need to step up to do something, they're going to get hurt or just be inconsistent, like Jones and Barkley. Those are the guys that's not going to be reliable for or whatever, and those are the guys that's going to be playing for a contract. And that's why I don't think that they're gonna finish in last. I think they have just as much talent as everybody in the division, but the two key parts is the reason why I got them at last.
And Nick, ending with you, any thoughts on who's winning the division? And if you did a win-loss breakdown, what is it?
Yeah, I'll start from the bottom up. I actually have Washington in last with 4 wins. It's just I don't believe in Carson Wentz. It's his third offense and third coaching staff in 3 years. And I'm not being a salty Eagles fan. It's just the Colts carried him, and that's how he was able to get all those good stats. And Washington taking on that contract and being not as able to build a team around him as much, I just think the Washington takes a huge step back. I think the Giants do improve. If anything, it's because of better coaching and Gettleman's gone, like I mentioned earlier. I think they get 7 wins, and I think they're starting 22. Actually, if you look across their starting offense, starting defense, they can compete with a lot of, if not most of the teams in this league. It's just, the common theme here, injuries. And that's just not going to bode well for them. I think they're built very well for the future, but for this year, I have them going 7-10. Cowboys, 9-8. They're going to take some steps back. I think they did what they could to keep a lot of their good players with them, minus Amari Cooper and Randy Gregory. It's just they on both sides of the ball, they took some steps back roster-wise. And I don't see them getting more than 9 wins. I actually had them going 8-9, but they find some way to squeak out a few crazy wins throughout the season. So that leaves the Eagles at 10-7, stumbling back ass into the playoffs once again. Probably losing 31-15 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again, but I think there's a lot of improvements that we made in the offseason. That I think the Eagles will take the division and get 10 wins, maybe 11. It just depends on how Jalen Hurts does, really, is the biggest question to me regarding Philly.
Listen, just want to throw it out there. With there's a lot of unknown about Carson Wentz, right? Carson Wentz, with all the shit that we talk a lot of shit, especially from playing in my division last year. Carson Wentz was literally 2 plays from taking a big swing in the division. He just had some big fuck ups in some very big games, and one of them against the Titans, where we were basically a game apart in the division. So I'm just saying, if Carson Wentz plays well, he has Ron Rivera as a coach. He has probably probably one of the best coaching staffs he's had, in a little while. Like he's been very rocky with coaching teams, and obviously 3 in 3 years, as you said. But there's a chance there. There's a chance. That dude has talent. But if he knows how to manage that shit and not try to win the ball game on his own, they can do some things, man. They can do some things.
I would have a lot of faith in the Commanders if they find a way to get Nick Foles.
Bugging.
Hey.
Mic drop.
Let me give the final poll results from everyone that voted in the chat. We got 40 votes. Not all of you pressed the thumbs up button, so shame on you that did not. But from the 40 votes, 5% are picking the Commanders to win the NFC East. 10% are going with the Giants. And like I said, we had enough time that this would change, and it did change. Cowboys 47% to win, Eagles 38% to win. So
Okay.
You guys are picking the Cowboys.
Listen.
Reign supreme.
No, they did.
This is probably one of the highest viewerships we've had on the show so far. The more people that likes it, the more people that gets to see what this channel and what this show is about. So just hit the button. It spreads the love to more people in the algorithm, so they can see us in the genre. So more people can vote and more people can talk with us and chop it up with us, because we only gonna grow. But just hit the button, help us out.
Yeah, we want
the whole football season. We're going to be doing watch-alongs on game days. It's going to be crazy. We're going to try to incorporate, fans of all different teams to join us. And
a lot of depressing moments. Yeah.
I have a quick question. Out of everybody, like, if you could take one player from our team or like everybody's team, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
Wait. Can we? Do we have to do? We could include our team, or it has to be outside of your team.
No, so like Cowboys, Giants, and
no. I mean,
from the
for
division.
example, what I'm asking is, you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Do you pick so do you have to exclude anybody from your team and everybody else? Or
It's somebody from one of the other divisions.
Somebody from the other three.
All right, cool. All right.
Josh, who would you take?
I'll take Dak Prescott.
Adam, who would you take?
AJ Brown.
Doug, who would you take?
I want Jordan Davis.
Seahawk, who would you take?
Michael Parsons.
Mike Parsons. Neil, who would you take?
You took my guy. That's what I was going to take. But
that's why I didn't take that, because he was off the table. Yeah.
All right. I'll go different. I would say, Chase Young.
And Nick, who would you take?
CD Lamb.
Nice. Now, imagine that trio of AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and CD Lamb. That would be insane. And Jalen Hurts would still overthrow them all. So we want to thank.
What about the AFC? What the hell? Can't we have a stab at this?
Oh, sure. I mean, if there was anybody from any of these teams that I would add to the Broncos, it would probably be Micah Parsons, because Denver needs linebacker help.
For the Jets, Micah Parsons sounds good. Who's the best left tackle in the division? Can we get that? We need that right now. We need that. I don't even know who that would be. From the Cowboys.
Yeah, probably.
I take that guy.
The 12 games he's healthy.
You don't want
Tyrone
Smith. He's on the way out. That's an aged man.
JJ, are you going to take AJ Brown back?
No.
That's a done deal. You know.
No, because what I think that the piece that we would need, because we have one of the best front sevens in all of football, you put Darius Slay on the other side of Christian Fulton. Holy shit. Like that's who I want. I want Darius Slay along with my two safeties and Christian Fulton on the other side. That right there would be insane.
Big play Slay.
Well, like JJ was saying, we appreciate everybody that is participating on this panel. We have people from all walks of life, all levels of participation in sports, and that's one of the things that we are trying to pride ourselves on when it comes to THH Sports, bringing together everybody to talk about football. So, guys, if you have anything that you want to plug or anything like that, feel free to. Adam, we will start with you, sir.
Yeah, you can check out all my work, fantasyalarm.com. Our fantasy football draft kit is free. I have rankings that I update frequently. I do betting content on pickswise.com. SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Tuesday through Thursday, midnight to 2 a.m. Eastern. I contribute to MSG Networks on their betting shows, which are Monday through Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. And you can follow me on Twitter at Adam Ronis, on Instagram at Aaron88. So just into fantasy, betting, all of that.
Awesome. Thanks for being part of this. Doug, how about you?
Yeah, I do a live show called Live Rounds on Tuesdays with Steven Jensen from Fightful. And we cover all things pro wrestling, MMA, boxing, things like that. And if you want to follow that, it's RVD Tito for life. And then if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's All Elite Doug 21.
Seahawk, how about you?
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Torch East Coast Cast every Wednesday, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, talking about the week in pro wrestling. Myself and Travis Bryant. You can find that at eastcoastcast.com. You can check me out on Twitch doing that show and my own show, Cam Tackles Twitch, Friday nights. It's twitch.tv/Seahawk. If you subscribe to Pro Wrestling Illustrated, you might have read my articles. I got some stuff coming up with The Ringer on the pro wrestling side. So yeah, just a little bit of everything. I'm on Twitter and Instagram under the name you see, Seahawk, CEEHAWK.
Josh, anything you would like to plug, sir?
JM Punk 321, Twitter and Instagram. I'm also on the True Heat YouTube channel, wrestling. Every Monday nights, every Wednesday nights, and then on Twitch every weekend with StatKing.
And Neil, anything you would like to plug, sir?
I'd like to plug in my fantasy league, the Fantasy Football League, Lead the Juice at Home. I have a few members that's in this podcast.
Which I am going to win. Yes.
I don't know about that.
I'm about to snipe your whole draft before you even pick.
Yeah, there's 4 of us in here. And Nick, how you doing over there, bud?
Pretty well. I'm just a friend of the True Heel family, but if you want the good old occasional sports tweet, you can follow me at Farrar NR. That's about it.
All right, guys, we are going to move into our news section. So if you have somewhere else you need to be or you need to drop out, no worries. We've covered our NFC East division. This was by far the most populated. We have 6 people here, the highest number that we've had for talking about a single division. So I want to thank all of you guys for being part.
This was lit.
Yeah, this
sure.
is great.
Good luck,
If you want to stick
everybody.
around, feel free to stick around.
NFC East is still king. Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Forever.
Listen, there's no lies detected there. NFC East is always the most talked about division. No matter if the winners win fucking 10 games, we're always still talking about them because you got the dumpster fire Giants, you got the fucking Eagles, and you got the fucking talking about team in America, which is the Cowboys.
Well, and we're so damn competitive because nobody can win the division 2 years in a row. So it's always
20 years.
rotating.
It's been that way for 20 years.
Since 2003, 2004. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that was us.
Well, you want to talk about consistency. Somebody who has been consistent since pretty much day one in the league is Justin Tucker. And Justin Tucker has now Justin Tucker has now had an extension with the Ravens. It's a 4-year extension. That's crazy considering how long he's already been in the league. It's a 4-year extension worth $24 million. It's $17.5 million guaranteed. His previous deal was through 2023. They said, we're not even going to wait for 2023 to roll around. We are going to keep you as long as we can keep you. Last year he set another record with a 66-yard kick at Detroit that won the game. So Justin Tucker just being the guy, if you want to talk about consistency. Anybody wish they had Justin Tucker on their team? I think that's probably.
I think.
Oh, especially the Cowboys guy.
No, God,
Oh, forgot about it.
You don't watch football.
We literally lose games because of kickers. Like, come on, please.
Oh, that's one of the that's one of my favorite things is when things are like kind of not saying I want things to go bad for the Cowboys, but when things are going bad for the Cowboys and they cut to Jerry in the press box, it's it's the last thing I want to see. Although
they beat the Lions last year,
with
some crazy field goal at the end.
Yeah, 66 yards, I think.
Yeah.
It was 67.
And it bounced off of it and went the other way. Like,
it's
crazy.
Upright and went over.
Yeah.
What a way to lose a game.
Made Dan Campbell cry.
Did he?
And on the flip side of somebody extending and being there around for frickin' ever, we have perennial receiving back for the New England Patriots, James White, retired. 8 years, I think. 3 Super Bowl rings, Super Bowl MVP, incredible talent. I'm definitely putting this on here, Josh. I don't care if you said not to, because that's my high school right there. So, thankfully now the last Patriot that I could support is gone from the team, so I can go back to 100% hating them. But James, what?
No, I'm saying like the only reason why I told you not to put it is because Patriot fans they don't exist. Like I've been saying this.
They took their talents down to Tampa Bay. It's fine.
Facts.
You think they're sad? You think they're sad? They're not sad because they don't exist.
Yeah,
they don't
Giants
remember
fan.
them.
They bought a lot of Chiefs jerseys. They got a lot of 15 jerseys in their closets now.
They are more than like number 4 priority in their own hometown.
Yeah,
It's like,
nobody can talk more shit to a Patriots fan than a Giants fan. Nobody.
It's like
Ever.
you tell them like you haven't even made the playoffs, and they're like, we won the Super Bowl. No, Tom Brady won the Super Bowl, not the Patriots. Like, stop.
Do you know how many people that claim they're Patriots fans talk about Tom Brady to this day more than they've talked about Mac Jones? It's
I bet there's somebody in somebody's fantasy that used to be a Patriots fan that now loves Tampa Bay. I bet you it's like everywhere. It's so annoying.
I know a person or two.
That's a damn shame.
I got one in my league like that, and it's like I'm like, what are you gonna do when he's done with Tampa? Like, I don't know. I guess I go back to the Patriots. Like,
he's about to be. He sounds like he's about to be done again.
right.
Matt,
Well, I was today years old when I figured out that James White nickname was Sweet Feet. I never knew he had a nickname. I didn't know he had a logo. I didn't know any of that.
I didn't know that till right now. Until you just said that. I didn't even know that.
I found that out when I saw the tweet too, and I was like, "Sweet Feet, oh shit, that was a thing. That was a real thing."
But
He always caught the ball.
He was an annoying talent, man. He was a good talent. He was annoying as hell. Annoying as hell.
Fantasy.
Got them out of so many predicaments. Fantasy stud, always underdrafted.
I'll never forget. The Patriots and the Falcons were going to it was the end of the game, and towards the end of the game, and I'm like, okay, they're going to overtime. I'm gonna run downstairs, get a smoke, come back up, go downstairs. By the time I got back up, James White caught the touchdown. I missed the entirety of that OT because of that. But if a team is trying to keep their kicker, we have a team that is having some issues retaining talent, and that is Kareem Hunt with the Cleveland Browns. He has requested a trade, but Cleveland has privately declined that request. He's in the final year of a 2-year, $12 million deal, and Cleveland is clearly saying, "Look, man, we got to have something." And this running game has really worked because of a strong 1-2 punch. If you leave, if we trade you, and we lose Deshaun Watson, we're going absolutely nowhere. So, man, I'm wondering, is this an issue where Kareem Hunt is just tired of being a strong 1B, you're playing second fiddle and would like to kind of lead a team, or what exactly is the situation there? It's gonna be interesting to see that they have declined that request. But I want to ask you guys, which team, if the Browns were willing to be open for a trade, which team do you think would benefit the most by getting Kareem Hunt? Seahawk, yeah, we'll start with you, sir.
Probably Dallas. Like, I think that's a guy who can like really run the ball, really still has legs for not great reasons. He's fresh, you know what I mean? But he absolutely is. I think that's a team who can use a guy who can still do the things they'd expect out of a Zeke. He's a great fit there. I think he'd be good he could never play in Kansas City again, but he'd be really good there. Like, much as I love Edwards-Helaire, like, you know, that's a small guy that can get in small spaces. They could definitely use him as a compliment there. And then I really, even though they kind of do it by committee, like, I think he'd be a good fit for the Rams. I really think he'd fit in good up there. So there's a few different teams I think he can work with. But yeah, I think a team like Dallas could really use him.
Doug, how about you, sir?
I think if they could work it out, a trade for Jimmy G for Kareem Hunt in San Francisco. I think Kareem Hunt would work at San Francisco. They love to run the ball. They've had a problem finding like a number one type running back, and I could see Kareem Hunt really helping the San Francisco offense.
Nick, do you have
and they really need a quarterback in Cleveland because Deshaun Watson is not going to play.
Nick, where would you see Kareem Hunt going?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a contender. I was drawing a blank. The Browns, not the Browns. They could be a good fit. The Rams are a good choice. I was actually thinking the Falcons.
I thought that too.
They don't have really.
It's quarter up.
Anybody?
It's quarter up.
It's not going to be possible. I mean, he's going to go to a contender, but I mean, the Falcons is he'd fit right in.
Josh, what do you think?
I would say between the Rams and Niners. I think those would be two good fits. I think the Niners would make more sense just because they love to run the ball. So I think that would be a good fit for him.
I think a sneaky place for Kareem Hunt to go would actually be Carolina, because just insurance for CMC, because they have no idea whether or not he's going to really be able to stay healthy. Besides that, I really like that Falcons pick because, I mean, they can sign him for a longer contract, pair him up with Pitts, see what he can do with Ritter. That would be a pretty good fit for me. What about you, JJ?
I'm scared to death to say it because if it happens, I'm going to be fucking terrified. If they somehow figure out a way to trade him to the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, shit.
I was going to say that. Stole my thunder.
That is terrifying to have Josh Allen to get a stud like that because Devin Singletary ain't it. Zach Moss ain't it. And that would just fill a void instantly.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you could go Buffalo if you want, Romeo, unless you have somebody else that you have in mind.
No, I was going to say Buffalo too, but I was just going to add that I think once they find out what Deshaun Watson's fate is, they may be more open to being like, all right, Hunt, we'll trade you, unless they're going to go out and get Garoppolo. And
here's my thing, like Dearness Johnson's pretty good. Like, if you just had Chubb and Dearness Johnson, I think you're okay. I don't think you need Kareem Hunt. I think he's just a luxury at this point. So if you can actually get a quality pick or a player for him, I would trade him.
Neil, do you have anywhere you could see Kareem Hunt going?
I actually believe that he could always go home and go back to Kansas City. Andy Reid is good on second chances. And, I think he'll look at his water under the bridge. He didn't want to cut him in the first place. He just, you told him not to lie to him about what happened. He lied. You let him go. I think, with years past, and desperate for a real running back, he'll take him back.
Now, we also have somebody else requesting a trade from their team, and we're going to take a little trip from Cleveland over to Chicago, where we have Roquan Smith, who the former first-round pick, pretty high pick too, I think it was 8th pick, he has requested a trade from the Chicago Bears. This is a guy who has been easily the best player on defense, especially last year, and he is really the anchor for that defense. And Ryan Poles, when he was talking about this trade request, said, my feelings for Roquan haven't changed at all. I think he's a very good football player. I love what he's done on the field, which makes me really disappointed with where we're at now. The rumor in the report is that he wants a similar contract to Shaquille Leonard with the Colts, and that is a lot of money that the Bears would have to pony up for Roquan Smith. But you can make it a clear argument that Roquan Smith has earned a contract like that. I'm wondering whether or not they're able to get this deal done before the season starts, which I think they'll be hard pressed to do. But I don't see a situation where they are going to let him go anywhere. What are you guys' thoughts on Roquan Smith asking for a trade and whether or not he actually leaves the team? It could be a situation where he sees a sinking ship and just doesn't think that Justin Fields is the guy.
Well, it's not
everybody's not Calvin
fault.
Johnson. You know what I mean? Like, everybody doesn't have that loyalty to a team that isn't any good because they like the city and do a bunch of charity work there, and they're embraced and loved. Like, that's not everybody's desire. It's probably harder as a defensive guy in that you are not the focal point. You are not the spotlight. You're not getting endorsement deals. They're not putting you in commercials. You know, you are playing football very well, and you're watching everybody else play bad around you and not get any better. Like that's kind of a natural desire. But I don't see how they get rid of him when he's like one of the few good things they have going. You know, I think they'll find a way to get him some money, but I just don't see a trade happening because then they go from bad to really bad in a division where I think the hard thing about the NFC North is like eventually it has to go bad for Aaron Rodgers, and you want to be the guys that are there when it does. And there's no reason, like, Chicago doesn't think Minnesota's any good because Minnesota's not any good. They haven't been any good. They've been very okay and have caught breaks the last few years. You know you're better than Detroit because everything tells you you're better than Detroit. So I can't imagine even where they are them being like, we're going to get rid of our best player in a year where we feel like something might shake. You know, I think they'll find a way to, again, give him some money, but he's not going to get what he wants either way.
Man, I feel like you have some strong feelings about Kirk Cousins just deep down.
Yes. And like, again, they brought him in, just really quick, right? They brought him in, they drafted him because they felt like if this thing that might work doesn't work, here's our guy, let's keep him in the wings. And then they knew he wasn't any good. And he's not gone because he's not any good. He's gone because they felt like they couldn't pay him. Because he plays in a league where there are, I think somebody said it earlier, you want your quarterback to be one of the top 8 to 10 quarterbacks. He probably is, but it doesn't mean he's any good because there's like 5 good ones at any point. And being number 7 can get you paid. So, yeah, now I do have strong feelings about, I'd rather you be bad than very okay because okay gives you hope. I don't want hope. I want despair. Give me one.
Hope or despair.
Oh, he is so rich. Like him and Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn is good for the rest of his life off potential. Salute to the man. I respect that. But yeah, Kirk Cousins is out there on the field doing nothing and getting rich off of it. You like that? You like that? That was it. That
was it. We're gonna stay in Chicago, where arguably the best blocking wide receiver in the game, N'Keal Harry, is undergoing ankle surgery. And they don't know exactly when he's going to be coming back. He's sidelined for an unspecified amount of time. He was just traded. They just traded for him with the Patriots, a former first rounder, traded for a 7th round pick. A lot of people were trying to figure out the trade, and they realized that Chicago is trying to be more of a running team. They're trying to be more balanced, even though they had to run a lot and really, really work the run past couple years with Monty and Tariq Cohen. Now it's Monty and Khalil Herbert. And of course, they have a quarterback who can run. And when you have somebody like that, if you want to do design runs, you need a wide receiver that can block. But it seems as though, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, that the trade happened. And now this injury has sidelined him. So, man, that sucks for Chicago.
Listen, the Patriots did not have a Super Bowl parade, but those fans threw a parade when they traded Harry away. They threw a parade. They were so happy he was gone. Oh my God.
Darnell Mooney and Scraps. It's tough times in Chicago.
They're already shit poor at that position, and they just not getting any richer, any better. It's gonna be another rough year for them boys.
We're gonna get into Chicago probably next Thursday when we do our NFC North preview, but they did not do a good job of helping Justin Fields this offseason
at all.
We're gonna bounce back to Cleveland because they brought in Amari Cooper to kind of address the loss of Odell and Jarvis Landry, and Amari Cooper has to be paired up with people, and no pun intended with Donovan Peoples-Jones there. But one person that they also brought in was Jakeem Grant in order to be a kick and punt returner. And it looks as though Jakeem Grant lost season. He's torn his ACL, not his ACL. He's torn his Achilles, and he will miss the entire 2022 season after being placed on injured reserve yesterday. He had to be carted off the field from Tuesday's practice. You hate to see injuries happen to anybody, regardless of who your team is and who may be in your division. But this is it's not the worst loss for Cleveland, but it's definitely going to hurt them because they do not have a lot of receiving talent and receiving depth after Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So, man, things are just not looking good for Cleveland whatsoever.
Those key injuries, man, those smaller injuries that hurt your depth chart. These guys are going to get exhausted if they got to play 50, 60 snaps, man. Like Amari Cooper is usually getting that little bit of a breather. Donovan Peoples-Jones has never played that much in his entire career. So it's going to be interesting again over there. But, fuck them over there. It don't matter.
I mean, it's kind of funny because, they bring in Deshaun Watson, and a lot of people gave them shit for bringing in Deshaun Watson. And now you've lost Jakeem Grant. You got Kareem Hunt asking for a trade. It may be a little karma from the football gods for bringing in Deshaun Watson.
But I mean, it's also the Cleveland Browns.
Fuck them.
Cleveland Browns gonna Cleveland Browns.
I'm pretty sure old Bill Belichick asked for that napkin that he signed. He put his resignation on to. No, that was with the Jets. Wasn't with the Browns, but he was with the Browns as a coordinator, I think. But
I heard that. It brought up very painful memories.
But don't worry, Romeo. We're going to help you out with some new memories because the New York Jets have brought in Dwayne Brown to play left tackle. He turns 37 on August 30th. He has 203 career starts, all at left tackle. He didn't miss a start the past 2 seasons while playing for the Seahawks. He made the Pro Bowl as an injury replacement. And per ESPN, he was 26th among offensive tackles in a pass block win rate. So the Jets are trying to make sure that they keep Zach Wilson upright so he can, do something with Elijah Moore and Wilson.
Well, Mekhi Becton hurt his kneecap. He's out for a very long time, probably for the whole year. And they were already talking to Dwayne Brown before that, just for insurance. And then once that injury happened,
yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
So I think it was 2 years, $22 million total. A lot of people are calling it, an overpay, but you got to do it. You got to do it. If you got the money, you got to do it. You got to shore up that offensive line. Zach Wilson needs all the help he can get on the offensive line. So we can find out if Zach Wilson is for real.
Has Zach Wilson even like flashed or anything? I haven't heard. I heard that like Flacco somewhat is outperforming him, which is a terrible sign.
That was one day, but for the most parts, Zach Wilson has had a pretty good training camp.
Okay.
And Elijah,
So, I mean, y'all had a great draft. Like the Jets should be much better if Zach Wilson plays well. Like y'all should be much better.
Yep, it's up to that offensive line. They were counting on Mekhi Becton, but it just didn't work out. He's got the injury prone label to him now. So we'll see what the offensive line does.
And finally, in our last piece of news, I'm not sure exactly how to do a transition to this one, so I'm just going to go straight into it. Marshawn Lynch decided that he was going to fall asleep in his car after having been drinking, and that's where the Las Vegas police found him in his damaged sports car. They arrested him on suspicion of driving while intoxicated. He was arrested today. His attorneys have responded that his car was safely parked and not in operation when the police arrived early Tuesday, and the driving while intoxicated charge won't stick. Marshawn was not pulled over for a DUI. We are confident that when all evidence is presented, this will not be a DUI under Nevada law. The arresting officer reported that his Shelby GT500 was undrivable with one missing front wheel, and the rear driver's side and front passenger wheels badly damaged. The markings suggested that the vehicle hit sidewalk areas before stopping in an industrial section of downtown Las Vegas, not far from Main Street. So, just a PSA, don't drink and drive.
Let me tell you, I'm surprised you use a Seahawks Marshawn Lynch and you didn't use a Raiders one. I'm surprised you did that.
Listen, I wanted to, but I felt like that would be a little too on the nose as the Broncos fan. But trust me, I was very close.
I did add one more news bit in the thumbnails. It's titled AB.
Oh, yes, you did.
We could just leave that.
Oh, yeah, this is hilarious. Actually, I do have a transition for that. And to end on a happier note, let's go to...
Really quickly, before you read it, like, from what I understand, he did not say this.
No,
but
he
then
did.
He saw it.
That's even better. He did tweet it. So from the mind of what AB wishes he would have said. My biggest regret in my career doesn't involve calling my GM a crack or showing up to Raiders game in a hot air balloon with frozen feet or throwing rocks at that UPS driver. Jesus Christ, this man's lived more than most humans. And it definitely doesn't involve taking my shirt off and doing a victory lap around the Jets Stadium mid-game while throwing up deuces. My biggest regret is that I'll never get to see me, Antonio Brown, play a game live. Sure, I can watch the game afterwards, but I can't imagine what that was like for all of you to see something like that. Like watching the Beatles or Jesus perform at Red Rocks. I mean, honestly, like when I was reading this the first time, I was like, how does he even know what Red Rocks is? And that should have been my first clue that he actually did not write it.
I hope he did. Like, it's great if he did. It's even better if somebody showed it to him and he took ownership of it. Like, that's
he signed
amazing.
off on it. He
retweeted it. He wrote sincerely.
He signed off on it.
I hope that's the case.
AB.
I hope somebody sent it to him and he was like, "Yep, I said it." Like, that's amazing.
This is definitely a guy who you can tell works for Kanye West and Kanye West's sports agency.
Yeah, you know it's great, and it's crazy because at the Super Bowl, AB looked the most normal one out of the two.
The whole crew, yeah. Everybody that was sitting in that section, he looked like the normal guy. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. So, guys, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to this.
I got some
episode.
videos.
Oh yes, of course. I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
Sorry, John, you forgot the Adam Shaheen news. No, I'm just kidding.
I got 3 videos sent in from some viewers who wanted to share their thoughts on their teams. Really short videos. Let's start with my good buddy Luis, who wants to tell you about the New York Giants this year.
Oh yeah, let's go.
What's up? Just giving my prediction for the upcoming season for the NFC East. We'll start off with my team, the Giants. I got them going at 7-10. You know, some improvements, definitely some improvements. Still a young team, it's a whole new team basically. So, and of course we still got Daniel Jones at quarterback. So, let's see how that one goes. But yeah, I got them at 7-10. You know, with some improvements. As much as I can't stand the Cowboys, you know, I got them winning the division at 10-7. I got Philly at second place with 9-8, and I got the Washington team at 8-9. But yeah, I see some. You know, it's going to be a competitive division, but I think it's gonna end up, you know, as a close one, with Dallas winning the division, and maybe Philly might grab that wild card spot. So,
All right. Thank you, Luis.
I like him.
Also,
I could hear the depression in his voice.
yeah.
Right?
Cam, you're not alone. We got a video sent in from another Commanders fan.
Oh, fun.
Here's
There
Robert
too.
with his thoughts.
Wow.
There's another one?
He found two.
What's up? Here's my
Oh, no, not this guy.
preview of the Washington Commanders. I think that's what they're going by these days. Let's see if this one sticks. So
I hope you
let's start with the
previewed this
defense.
before you play
I
it.
think they have the potential to be, at best, a middle-of-the-pack defense. At worst, I think they could be one of the worst defensive units in the entire league. They have no true middle linebacker, no true deep safety, no depth at any position group. I mean, you've got some talent on the defensive line, John Allen, obviously, Chase Young and Montez Sweat. It's really going to depend on those guys and whether they can dominate the line of scrimmage and get pressure, because without that, they're going to get eaten alive. Now, offensively, I think that's a more interesting unit. I think they do have the potential to be absolutely god-awful, but I think they also have the potential, if everything works out, to be a truly explosive and dangerous offense. A lot's going to depend on Carson Wentz, obviously. Number one, can he stay healthy? And number two, which Carson Wentz are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy who collapsed against the Jaguars? Or are we going to get the guy who was 19-1 in the red zone last year and has been an MVP candidate? Now, he's going to be behind a reliable offensive line, I think, which has been the best and most consistent unit since Rivera took over the team. He's going to have potentially a lot of weapons. You know, with J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson, he's going to have dynamic running backs. Logan Thomas and Scary Terry are proven commodities. The question is Curtis Samuel going to get on the field, and is he going to produce when he gets there? Or is Jahan Dotson going to live up to the hype coming out of training camp, where there are members in the organization who already think he's the best wide receiver on the team? That being said, Washington Commanders, 7-10, 8-9 at best. The rest of the NFC East, I think, falls in that category, except the Cowboys, who I believe have the most potential and the best quarterback. So I predict them to win with 10, 11 wins at the most.
Like, there's a chance that he and I went to, let's say, elementary school together. He might have been one of the two white kids in my elementary school, right? But we're fans of the same team. I suspect we do not live in the same state. Probably don't do the same things on the weekends. Probably don't play the same video games, watch the same shows, none of that. We said the exact same thing about this football team. Like, different words, right? But pretty much we hit all the same notes. They have the potential to be okay. They could very much be terrible because, yeah, everything he said, like, right on the money. Whew.
And Josh, you're not alone because we got another Giants fan too. It's Justin Rich. Here come the Giants fans in full force.
I knew that wasn't going to make Josh happy, bro.
Why?
Oh, wait, it's not playing for me. Oh, I guess we're not going to hear.
You're saying the video is injured?
Fuck. Sounds like a typical Giant, right? What a giant problem.
The video got Saquon.
Damn, it really did.
He was
Sorry,
trying to-
Justin, I can't play your video for some reason.
This is, sounds like depression.
Oh, wait, I can upload it. I can also do that.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
You know, the Jet fans are just really, really smart. Hold on.
What are you trying to say?
It is uploading. All right, cool. While we're waiting, he did bring up an interesting name there, Dotson. What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, like what he's saying, like they're saying that he's really good, he's really good. But and again, no knock to the kid. What wide receiver hasn't looked good in one-on-ones in a video you've seen, like in the last 2 weeks? They're killing every corner because ain't nobody else on the field. Everybody's getting smoked. Everybody, look. I see you at the top. JJ's like, yo, everybody's getting smoked. Everybody's getting cooked, and we're supposed to read into it. And it's like, I mean, okay, like you get out there and do it on the field in front of somebody, across from somebody.
Yo, according to training camp reports, Traylon Burks is about to start in the Pro Bowl. Pump the fucking brakes, B. Like,
No, believe me.
On the field and play real competition.
Yeah. Romeo and John they know how I feel about practice.
Allen Iverson
hit with this, man. Talking about we got
right.
he better than AJ Brown in training camp. Like, yo, go suck some.
All right, video's loaded. Let's hear from Justin Rich on the Giants real quick.
What up, Giants Nation? It's your boy Justin, aka It's Justin Rich, and we're here with a brand new NFL season, preseason kicking off. Week 1 right around the corner. We're here to talk about our beloved Big Blue. That's right, the New York Football Giants. The last couple of years have not been kind to us. Last year was not it, but we are under new management. We are now brand spanking new in the Brian Dabble era. Thank God David Gettleman is no longer here. One word, atrocious. But new coach, new GM, a couple new draft picks. We're starting to trend in the right direction. Danny Dimes, unfortunately, you under the microscope, my friend. It's a prove it year for you, my guy. But we're here to talk about the Giants as a whole. And what do I think is going to happen this season? Now, do I think we're a playoff team? No. There are still way too many better teams in the NFC as a whole that I don't really see us making it as a playoff. I think there's going to be a lot of fight at the top. Do I think we're a 500 team? Well, that's debatable because I think we can sneak up on some teams. I think we could surprise some people. But personally, I think we're going with 7-10 this year, maybe 6-11. If we're on the other side of 500, that would actually be like a surprise. Like, we'll gladly take that. Personally, I think we're going 7-10. I think the schedule is just too tough, not kind to us, and honestly, we got to prove it, especially with a new coach. So, as far as the NFC East is concerned, I believe Dallas is still at the top of the division. I think the Giants and Eagles will be battling for that second spot in the division. And bringing up the rear, your Washington Commanders. Really, Washington? You really couldn't have come up with anything better than Commanders? Ugh. Anyways, this is your boy Justin. This is my thoughts on the Giants. Hopefully they surprise us this year and go.
Romeo, is that your long-lost cousin?
Yeah, I was about to say, y'all
we look like?
You know that looks like
HenryTree.com.
You know what they look like? You remember that movie, the one with Jet Li, when he was like meeting like all his different versions? That's like Romeo's version, like in a different universe.
Oh, he's like a variant?
Yeah, the different universe.
Multiverse. He was all doing that DMD. I was like,
same level of
yeah, that's true. He was doing the Britt Baker.
I mean,
yeah,
he got the bright Knicks hoodie too. I mean, we gotta be.
You know, he said ill. That was funny.
He does not like the commies. I mean, the Commanders, whatever you want to call them.
I mean,
I don't like them, damn it. But, you know, it's how I live.
3 years for that?
Yeah, man. Doing anything.
They might as well have stuck with the football team.
I was cool with it. That was actually kind of cool.
That would have been an okay choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was cool with it. I was almost ready to buy some gear. Now I'm just, I'll just wear burgundy some days. Yeah. Man.
You're not a commander.
I'm definitely not a commander.
LeVar
at best. I want no
LeVar Arrington calls them the Commandos.
Oh my gosh. So real quick, I know like you guys are wrapping up. Best LeVar Arrington story you've ever heard. My first job out of college was a trade school, and my boss was from Pittsburgh, and they actually like grew up together, her and LeVar Arrington. So we had a guy come in one time, and he was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, but I used to play at Penn State. He was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, yeah, me and LeVar Arrington, this and that. And I told her, and she was like, I'm going to call him and ask him right now. And she brought his name. He's like, yeah, I don't know who that guy is. So how you been? So yeah, just making stuff up to make it up. That's like a lie you tell in Texas that nobody will check you on until you meet the wrong person to check you on it. He never actually came to the school. Damn. Yeah.
Well, guys, we want to thank you guys. We want to thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of THH Sports. Romeo, I think next week we're doing 2 episodes, right? Because we're getting through we got to get through these divisions before kickoff. So what is our next division?
Tuesday, NFC West. Thursday, NFC North.
Nice. Alrighty, guys. We want to like I said, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. We want to thank everybody from our panel. We want to thank Adam. We want to thank Doug, Cam, Neil, Nick, Josh, all of you guys for being part of this panel. This has been an amazing episode. Romeo, you have something to add?
And just a quick reminder. Join us Saturday night right here, same spot, same channel. True Heel Heat Sports number 14. We'll do a watch along of UFC and some boxing too. So join us for that. That starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Saturday night.
So for myself, for JJ, for Romeo, for Josh, for Neil, for Nick, for Doug, for Cam, for Adam, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to take care of yourself. Later.
Cut them off.
Can't hear you no more.